I'm sitting at my desk, the glow of the monitor washing over my tired eyes. It's been another long day at the office, grinding away at spreadsheets and endless meetings. I'm a mid-level exec in a tech firm, the kind of job that's supposed to be glamorous, but feels more like a slow bleed. The hours are brutal, but I tell myself it's worth it. It's for us, Emily and me. We've been married for 10 years, and it feels like a lifetime. Lately, though, something's been off. Emily's been distant, like she's here but not really here. She goes out more, claims she's meeting friends, but she's evasive when I ask. I don't push it. I've never been the paranoid type, but I can't shake this feeling that something's wrong, that she's slipping away from me. We used to be so close, our connection almost electric. Now it's like we're just going through the motions. The passion, the spark, it's all faded into the background noise of life. Tonight, I'm staying late again. Emily probably doesn't even notice when I'm not home. I wonder when things change, when we stop caring about the little things. There was a time when I'd rush home just to see her, just to hold her. Now, I can't remember the last time we had a real conversation, let alone touched each other. It's not that I don't love her. I do. It's just different now. I get a call from my boss, the kind you can't ignore. He needs an important document that I left at home, something for a big meeting tomorrow. I curse under my breath, annoyed at myself for the slip-up. I grab my keys and head out, hoping to make it back before it gets too late. It's a small inconvenience, but it feels like just another thing in a long list of things going wrong lately. As I drive, my mind drifts back to Emily. I try to remember the last time I saw her smile, really smile, like she used to. All I see in my mind is her distracted, looking past me as if I'm not even there. I tell myself it's just a rough patch, that every marriage goes through it. But deep down, I know it's more than that. I feel like I'm losing her, and I don't know how to get her back. When I pull up to the house, it's dark except for a faint glow coming from the bedroom window. I figure she's gone to bed early, tired from whatever she's been up to. I open the door quietly, not wanting to wake her. I head upstairs, the creak of the floorboards echoing in the silence. As I reach the top, I hear something, a sound that makes my heart stop. It's faint, but unmistakable. My hand grips the banister, and for a moment, I'm frozen, unable to move. Then with a surge of adrenaline, I rush to the bedroom. I push the door open, and my world shatters. I stand in the doorway, my breath catching in my throat. My mind can't fully process what I'm seeing. Emily is on top of a man I've never seen before, her body moving in ways I haven't seen in years. They're completely engrossed in each other, oblivious to my presence. I feel like the floor has disappeared beneath me, like I'm falling through an endless void. My first instinct is to look away, to turn around and walk out as if none of this is happening, but I'm rooted to the spot. My heart pounds in my chest, each beat a painful reminder that this is real. I hear the sounds they make, the moans and gasps, and it cuts through me like a knife. The room is dimly lit, the glow from the bedside lamp casting shadows on the walls, making the scene look even more surreal. I force myself to move, to do something, anything. I step forward and the floorboard creaks. Emily's head snaps up, and for a split second, our eyes meet. Her expression isn't one of shock or guilt, but of cold indifference. That look alone almost drops me to my knees. How could she be so detached, so distant after everything we've been through? The man, tall and muscular, turns his head toward me. He's not scared. He's pissed off that I've interrupted them. I can see it in the way his face tightens, in the way he narrows his eyes. There's a moment of silence that feels like it stretches out forever, and then everything explodes. I launch myself at him, grabbing him by the shoulders and yanking him off Emily. He stumbles back, almost losing his balance, but he's strong and recovers quickly. Before I know it, we're grappling, our bodies slamming into the walls, knocking over furniture. I'm fueled by pure rage, and anger I didn't even know I was capable of. All I want to do is hurt him, make him pay for what he's done. He throws a punch that catches me on the side of the jaw, and pain blossoms across my face. I barely register it, too focused on trying to bring him down. We're both breathing hard, and I can feel the sweat slicking my skin. I get a hand on his neck, squeezing, and for a second, I think I have him. Then in one swift motion, he reaches into his jeans and pulls out a gun. Everything stops. The barrel is pointed straight at my chest, and suddenly all the fight drains out of me. I can feel the cold metal of the gun pressing against my skin, and the realization hits me. This is it. I could die right here, in my own bedroom, with my wife watching. The thought is almost too absurd to believe. "Leave," he says, his voice low and menacing. "Get the fuck out of here, or I swear to God I'll blow your head off." I can't move. My mind is screaming at me to do something, anything, but my body is frozen. I'm caught between the fury that's still boiling inside me and the paralyzing fear that this might actually be the end. I glance at Emily, hoping, praying that she'll say something, do something to stop this. But she just stands there, her eyes blank, like she doesn't even recognize me. "Emily," I manage to choke out, my voice trembling. "Say something, please." But she remains silent. The look in her eyes is something I've never seen before, something dark and unrecognizable. It's like she's a stranger, someone I've never met. The woman I married, the woman I've loved for over a decade, is gone. And in her place is someone I don't know, someone who could stand by and watch me die without blinking an eye. The man presses the gun harder against my chest, forcing me back toward the door. My heart races, every beat echoing in my ears like a drum. I try to think, to figure out a way out of this. But my mind is a mess, my thoughts scattered and chaotic. The only thing I can focus on is the cold, hard reality that I might not make it out of this room alive. "Get out," he snarls, pushing me further back. "This is your last fucking chance." I take a shaky step back, my hands raised in a gesture of surrender. My mind is screaming at me to fight, to do something to take control of the situation, but the gun in his hand is a stark reminder of how powerless I am. I'm at his mercy, and the realization is terrifying. He steps forward, still holding the gun on me, his expression twisted with anger. I can feel the edge of the doorframe against my back, the cool wood pressing into my skin. I'm almost out, almost free, but the distance between us feels like a chasm I can't cross. I take another step back, my heart pounding in my chest, and then I hear it, the click. It takes me a second to realize what it is, the sound of the gun jamming. For a moment, I'm too stunned to move, my brain struggling to process what just happened. And then instinct takes over. I shove him hard, sending him stumbling back into the room. He curses, trying to regain his balance. But I'm already moving, bolting down the hallway, my heart racing. Behind me, I hear the sounds of him trying to fix the jam, the sharp clack of metal on metal. Panic fuels my movements, pushing me faster, making my legs pump harder as I sprint down the stairs. I don't look back. I can't look back. All I can think about is getting out, getting away from that house, away from her. I burst through the front door, the cool night air hitting me like a slap in the face. My mind is a whirlwind of thoughts, a chaotic mess of fear, anger, and betrayal. I keep running, my breath coming in ragged gasps, my heart pounding in my chest. I don't stop until I'm halfway down the street, my legs burning, my lungs screaming for air. When I finally come to a stop, I collapse against the side of a building, my back sliding down the rough brick until I'm sitting on the ground. I'm trembling, my hands shaking uncontrollably as I try to catch my breath. My mind is reeling, trying to make sense of what just happened, but it's all too much, too overwhelming. I've been betrayed in the worst possible way. The woman I've spent my life with, the woman I've loved, has turned against me, and now I'm caught in a nightmare I can't escape from, with no idea what to do next. The weight of it all presses down on me, suffocating, crushing, and I feel like I'm drowning in it. I sit there for what feels like hours, my mind a jumble of thoughts and emotions. Eventually, I force myself to stand, my legs weak and unsteady. I don't know where I'm going, but I know I can't stay here. I start walking, my feet carrying me forward on autopilot, my mind still reeling from the shock of what just happened. As I walk, the reality of the situation begins to sink in. I'm in danger, real danger, and I have no idea what to do about it. I'm not a fighter, not a hero. I'm just a man who's been blindsided by the people he trusted most, and now I'm on my own, with no one to turn to, no one to trust. The night is dark and silent, the streets empty as I walk aimlessly, my thoughts racing. I know I need to figure out my next move, but I can't think straight. All I can do is keep walking, keep moving forward, hoping that somehow, some way, I'll find a way out of this nightmare. Eventually, I find myself at a park, the silence broken only by the distant hum of traffic. I sit down on a bench, my head in my hands, and try to think. But my mind is a storm, a chaotic swirl of anger, fear, and confusion. I'm lost, adrift in a sea of emotions, with no idea how to find my way back. I've always been the rational one, the calm one. But now, in the face of this betrayal, I feel like I'm unraveling, like the ground is crumbling beneath my feet. I don't know what to do, don't know how to fix this. And the thought terrifies me, because I've always been the one who could fix things, who could make everything right. But now I'm not so sure. I drive aimlessly, the streets blurring into a maze I can't escape. My hands grip the wheel, knuckles white, as my mind races to make sense of what just happened. Emily, the woman I've shared a life with, was in bed with another man, and now everything feels like it's spinning out of control. I should go to the police, but what do I tell them? That I caught my wife cheating, and then some stranger pulled a gun on me. They'll ask questions, questions I don't have answers to. And what if Emily turns this around on me? She was silent, but that silence was more damning than anything she could have said. I pull over, parking the car on a deserted side street. The night is dark and quiet, but my thoughts are anything but. I keep replaying the moment when I saw them together, the look on her face, cold, indifferent, like I was nothing. The anger inside me bubbles up again, but there's something else now, fear. Fear that I've lost control of my life, that this situation is about to spiral even further. I sit there, my mind reeling, until the early hours of the morning. Eventually, I know I have to go back. I have to face whatever comes next, but I'm not prepared for what I find when I finally pull up to the house. The flashing lights of a police car greet me, cutting through the darkness like a warning. My heart sinks. What the hell has she done? I step out of the car, my legs feeling like they're made of lead. Two officers are standing on the porch, talking to Emily. She's dressed now, her hair neatly pulled back, but her eyes are the same, cold, distant, unreadable. When she sees me, there's no surprise, no emotion at all. Mr. Hayes? One of the officers steps forward, his expression serious. We need to ask you a few questions. I glance at Emily, searching for some sign of what's happening, but she just looks away. My stomach twists. What's this about? I ask, trying to keep my voice steady. There's been an allegation of assault, the officer says, his tone flat. We received a call from your wife. She claims you attacked a man in your home. My heart hammers in my chest. This can't be happening. That's not what happened, I say quickly, my voice rising. I came home, and I found her. I can't even bring myself to say it. He had a gun. He threatened me. The officer's expression doesn't change. Your wife didn't mention a gun, sir. She says you were the aggressor and that the other man left before she could get his details. She's lying, I snap, panic creeping into my voice. He was in our bed. He pulled a gun on me. I stop, realizing how insane this all sounds, how it's my word against hers. And Emily, she's not saying anything, just standing there letting me twist in the wind. The officers exchange a glance and I can see the doubt in their eyes. They don't believe me. Why would they? A domestic dispute, a husband coming home late, catching his wife in bed with another man. It's a story they've heard 100 times. But this isn't some ordinary fight. There's something else going on, something darker, and I'm caught in the middle of it. Sir, we need you to come down to the station and give a statement, the officer says. This will go easier if you cooperate. I know I don't have a choice. If I resist, it only makes me look more guilty. But as they cuff my hands behind my back, I feel the walls closing in. Emily watches silently as they lead me away, her expression still blank, emotionless. The betrayal cuts deeper than anything else. This isn't just about infidelity. It's about something much more sinister. At the station, the questioning feels like an eternity. They grill me about my relationship with Emily, about my work, my habits, trying to poke holes in my story. I stick to the truth, telling them everything that happened, but I can see the skepticism in their eyes. Without evidence, it's just my word against hers. After hours of interrogation, they finally let me go, but I know this isn't over. Emily has set something in motion, and I'm not sure how to stop it. When I walk out of the station, the sun is rising, casting a harsh light on everything that's happened. I feel like I'm walking through a nightmare, one where nothing makes sense, and I'm powerless to change it. Back at the house, the emptiness is suffocating. Emily isn't there. She's gone, leaving me alone to pick up the pieces. I don't know where she is, and honestly, I don't care. I'm too focused on figuring out what the hell is going on. I start searching through the house, looking for anything that might give me a clue. Emails, messages, anything. But it's like she's wiped herself clean, leaving no trace of what's really happening. That's when I realize I need to know more about this man. Greg. Who is he? How did he meet Emily? And what does he want? My frustration grows with every dead end I hit, every attempt to piece together a puzzle that doesn't make sense. But I can't give up. I know this isn't just about a cheating wife. It's about something bigger, something dangerous. I dig deeper, going through old emails, texts, anything that might give me a lead. It's late at night when I finally find something. A name, an address, buried deep in Emily's email history. Greg Parker. It's not much, but it's a start. I need to know who this man is, why he's in my life, and what his connection to Emily is. The next day, I take a drive to the address I found. It's in a seedy part of town, the kind of place where you keep your head down and don't ask questions. The building is run down, the kind of place where people go to disappear. My gut tells me I'm on the right track, but I also know I'm walking into something dangerous. I park a block away and approach the building on foot, my heart pounding. I don't know what I'm expecting to find, but I have to do this. I need answers. I make my way up the stairs, my steps echoing in the empty hallway. The door is slightly ajar, and I push it open, my pulse quickening. The apartment is a mess, clothes strewn everywhere, empty beer bottles on the table, the smell of stale smoke hanging in the air. But it's empty. I search through the place, rifling through drawers, looking for anything that might tell me more about Greg. But it's like he's a ghost. No ID, no personal effects, nothing. Just as I'm about to leave, I hear a noise behind me, and my blood runs cold. I turn slowly, my heart hammering in my chest. Greg is standing in the doorway, his eyes cold and dangerous. For a moment, we just stare at each other, the tension thick enough to cut with a knife. "What the hell are you doing here?" His voice is low, menacing. "I could ask you the same thing," I reply, trying to keep my voice steady. "Who are you? What do you want with my wife?" He steps closer, and I can see the fury in his eyes. "You need to stop digging, Adam," he says, his voice dripping with threat. "You have no idea what you're getting into." I swallow hard, my mind racing. "Tell me the truth, Greg. What's going on? What are you and Emily planning?" He laughs, a cold, humorless sound. "You really don't get it, do you? This isn't about you anymore. It never was. You're just collateral damage in something much bigger." His words send a chill down my spine, but I refuse to back down. "You're not going to get away with this," I say, my voice firm. "I'll find out the truth." He shakes his head almost pityingly. "I warned you, Adam. Now you've forced my hand." He pulls out his phone and dials a number. "Yeah, it's me," he says into the phone, his eyes never leaving mine. "We've got a problem." I don't wait to hear more. I turn and bolt for the door, adrenaline surging through me. I hear him curse behind me, but I don't stop. I run down the stairs, out into the street, my heart pounding in my chest. I don't stop running until I'm back at my car, gasping for breath, my mind racing with what I've just heard. This is bigger than I thought, bigger than I could have imagined, and now I'm caught in the middle of it with no idea how to get out. But one thing is clear, I can't stop now. I have to keep digging, keep pushing until I find the truth. Because if I don't, I'm not sure I'll survive what's coming next. I sit in the driver's seat, my mind racing with what I've just heard. Greg's words echo in my head. It was never about you. You're just collateral damage. My hands grip the steering wheel so tight that my knuckles turn white. I need to get out of here. But I can't just drive away from this. I have to confront him. I need answers. Real answers. I drive a few blocks away, park, and wait. My heart is pounding. My mind is spinning. But I force myself to focus. I text Greg, demanding a meeting. He responds almost immediately with a location, an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. It's the kind of place you go to disappear, where no one will hear you scream. I know this is a trap, but I'm beyond caring. I need to see this through. I drive to the location, my mind playing out all the possible scenarios. None of them end well for me, but I'm too deep in this to back out now. The warehouse is exactly what I expected. Dark, empty, reeking of decay. I step inside, my senses on high alert. The air is thick with the smell of rust and mildew. My footsteps echo on the concrete floor, each step sending a shiver down my spine. I see Greg standing in the middle of the room, his silhouette barely visible in the dim light. He's waiting for me, just as I knew he would be. "So, you actually showed up," he says, his voice dripping with contempt. I have to admit I'm surprised. "I'm not here for games, Greg," I say, keeping my voice steady, though my heart is racing. "I want the truth. Why did you and Emily do this? What's the end game?" He chuckles, a low, menacing sound that makes my skin crawl. "The truth? The truth is, you were an easy mark. Emily and we've been planning this for a long time. You were just a means to an end." I feel a wave of anger surge through me, but I force it down. "And what's that end, Greg? What do you get out of destroying my life?" "It's not just about you," he says, stepping closer, his face coming into view. There's a coldness in his eyes that I've never seen before, a detachment that sends a chill down my spine. "Emily and we have our own plans. You were just a stepping stone." "A stepping stone to what?" I demand, my voice rising despite my efforts to stay calm. "To freedom," he says simply. "Emily wants out of her old life. She wants money, power, control. And you, with your cushy job and your nice house, were the perfect ticket." I can hardly believe what I'm hearing. The woman I've loved, the woman I thought I knew, has been plotting against me all this time, using me as a pawn in some twisted game. The realization hits me like a punch to the gut, leaving me breathless. "And what about me?" I ask, my voice barely more than a whisper. "What happens to me?" He smiles, a cruel, twisted smile that makes my blood run cold. "You were never meant to survive this, Adam. Emily's going to paint you as the abusive husband, the one who snapped. The police will find you, and they'll find the evidence she's planted. Evidence that you were a ticking time bomb. By the time they're done with you, no one will care what really happened." Rage and fear churn inside me, but I force myself to stay calm. "You really think you'll get away with this?" I ask, trying to buy time, trying to think of a way out. "We already have," he says, his voice filled with cold confidence. "You're already dead, Adam. You just don't know it yet." The words hang in the air, heavy and final. I feel the walls closing in, the inevitability of what's about to happen. But I refuse to go down without a fight. I take a step closer to him, my hands clenched into fists. "You're wrong," I say, my voice low and steady. "I'm not going to let you destroy me. I'm going to expose you, both of you, for what you really are." He laughs, a harsh, bitter sound. "You're delusional if you think you can win this. You have no idea how deep this goes." "Maybe," I admit, taking another step closer. "But I'm not dead yet." The next few seconds happen in a blur. Greg lunges at me, his hand going for the gun tucked into his waistband. I react on instinct, grabbing his arm and twisting it, forcing the gun from his grip. We struggle, the sound of our grunts and the clatter of the gun echoing in the empty warehouse. He's strong, but I'm fighting for my life, and that gives me an edge. We crash to the ground, rolling and grappling for control. My mind is focused on one thing: surviving this. I manage to get on top of him, my hands around his throat, squeezing as hard as I can. He glares up at me, hatred burning in his eyes, but I don't let go. I can't let go. Then suddenly, he's reaching for something in his pocket. I see the glint of metal, and before I can react, he slashes at me with a knife. Pain explodes in my side, but I don't stop. I grab his wrist, slamming it against the concrete until the knife clatters away. Desperation fuels me. I know if I give him an inch, I'm dead. I reach for the gun, my fingers closing around the cold metal. I point it at him, my hands shaking from the adrenaline and pain. He freezes, his eyes widening as he realizes I have the upper hand. "You don't have the guts," he sneers, but I can see the fear behind his bravado. I keep the gun trained on him, my mind racing. I could end this right now. I could pull the trigger and be done with it. But something holds me back. I don't want to be like him. I don't want to become the monster he's tried to make me out to be. Instead, I keep the gun aimed at him, my finger hovering over the trigger. "Get up," I order, my voice cold and steady. "We're going to the police." He glares at me, but he knows he's lost. Slowly, he gets to his feet, his hands raised in surrender. I keep the gun trained on him as I grab his phone from the ground, slipping it into my pocket. It's over, or at least, this part of it is. I don't take my eyes off him as I force him out of the warehouse, down to my car. I make him drive, the gun pointed at his head the entire time. The city blurs past us as we head toward the nearest police station, the tension in the car thick enough to choke on. When we arrive, I pull him out of the car, the gun still in my hand. The officers inside the station look up in surprise as I push Greg through the doors, my heart pounding in my chest. "This man tried to kill me," I say, my voice steady, but inside I'm shaking. "He and my wife have been plotting against me. I have evidence. On his phone." The officers move quickly, taking Greg into custody as I hand over the gun and the phone. The adrenaline starts to wear off, leaving me feeling shaky and exhausted. I slump into a chair, my mind racing with everything that's happened. It's not over, I know that much. Emily is still out there, and she's not going to go down without a fight. But for the first time in days, I feel like I have a chance to clear my name, to take back control of my life. I sit there in the police station, my mind whirling with everything that's happened. I've crossed a line tonight, one I can't come back from. But I'm still here, still fighting, and I'm not going to stop until I've taken down everyone who tried to destroy me. This is far from over, but I'm ready for whatever comes next. I sit in the dimly lit room, Greg's phone clutched in my hand. The adrenaline from our fight still pulses through my veins, but now there's something else, a cold, calculated resolve. I've crossed a line, and there's no going back. The only way forward is to gather the evidence I need to take them both down. I start by scrolling through his messages. There are dozens of texts between him and Emily, their tone casual but laced with the kind of familiarity that makes my stomach turn. They've been planning this for months, maybe even longer. The messages outline their twisted plot, discussing everything from the best ways to provoke me to how they'd cover their tracks. One message in particular stands out. It's from Emily, sent a week ago. "It's almost time. Just a little longer and we'll be free." He has no idea what's coming. I read it over and over, my hands trembling with a mix of rage and betrayal. This isn't just about infidelity, it's about cold-blooded manipulation. They've been using me, playing me like a pawn in their sick game. There are also photos, images of them together, laughing, kissing, planning my downfall in broad daylight. I feel a surge of anger, but I force it down. I can't afford to lose control now. I need to be smart, methodical. I copy everything onto a USB drive, making sure I have multiple backups. I can't risk losing any of this. Next, I call a lawyer. I need someone ruthless, someone who can help me navigate the legal quagmire I'm about to dive into. The lawyer listens carefully as I explain the situation, his silence unnerving. When I finish, he asks a few pointed questions, his tone sharp and businesslike. He agrees to take my case, but his warning is clear. This won't be easy. They'll fight dirty, and you need to be prepared for that. I know he's right. Emily and Greg won't go down without a fight, but I'm ready. I've been pushed to the edge, and now there's no turning back. I send him the evidence I've gathered, and we start planning our next move. I also make an anonymous tip to the police, sending them the same evidence. It's risky, but I need to cover all my bases. I know that once Emily realizes the police are involved, her calm facade will start to crack. She's always been good at hiding her emotions, but under pressure, everyone has a breaking point. As the days go by, I focus on preparing myself mentally and emotionally. I reflect on how much I've changed in such a short time. The man I was before all this seems like a distant memory, someone naive and trusting. That man is gone, replaced by someone harder, someone who understands that the world isn't as black and white as he once believed. My lawyer keeps me updated on the legal front. He's confident we have enough to not only clear my name, but to expose Emily and Greg for what they really are. The police are also making moves. They've reopened their investigation, and it's only a matter of time before they come for her. Finally, the day comes. I'm sitting in my living room, the silence almost deafening, when I hear a knock on the door. I open it to find two detectives standing there, their expressions serious. "Mr. Hayes, we need to talk to your wife," one of them says, his tone leaving no room for argument. I step aside, letting them in. Emily is in the kitchen, her back to us as she sips a cup of coffee. She turns slowly when she hears us, her eyes widening slightly when she sees the detectives. But then, like flipping a switch, she composes herself, her expression cool and detached. "What's this about?" she asks, her voice steady. "Mrs. Hayes, we have some questions regarding an ongoing investigation," the detective says. "We'd appreciate it if you could come with us to the station." For a moment, she just stands there, the cup still in her hand. Then, without a word, she sets it down and follows them out the door. I watch as they lead her away, feeling a strange mix of relief and sadness. This is the woman I once loved, the woman I thought I'd spend my life with. But that woman is gone, replaced by someone I barely recognize. Hours pass, and I wait anxiously for news. Finally, my lawyer calls. His voice is calm but firm. "They've issued a warrant for Greg's arrest. Emily's being questioned as we speak. The evidence you provided is solid, but this is just the beginning." I hang up, feeling a sense of grim satisfaction. The wheels are in motion, and there's no stopping them now. But I know this isn't over. Greg is still out there, and he's not the type to go quietly. He'll try to run, to hide, but I won't let him slip away that easily. I spend the next few days preparing for the inevitable confrontation. I know Greg will come for me, either to silence me or to exact his revenge. I'm ready for him. I've learned to expect the worst, to plan for every possibility. I'm no longer the man who blindly trusted, who believed in the inherent goodness of people. That man is dead. When the call finally comes, it's from an unknown number. I answer it, my heart pounding in my chest. "Adam." Greg's voice is low, dangerous. "You think you've won, but this isn't over. You'll never be free of me." "Where are you, Greg?" I ask, my voice cold. "Let's end this." He laughs, a chilling sound. "You want me? Come and get me. I'll be waiting." He gives me an address, a remote location on the outskirts of town, far from prying eyes. I know it's a trap, but I have no choice. This ends tonight. I drive out to the location, the darkness pressing in around me like a suffocating blanket. My mind is clear, focused on what I need to do. When I arrive, I see Greg standing by the entrance, his silhouette barely visible in the dim light. I step out of the car, my heart pounding in my ears. "This is it, Greg," I say, my voice steady. "It's over." He steps forward, his face twisted with rage. "You think you can just walk away from this? You ruined everything." "No, Greg," I say, my voice calm. "You did this to yourself." He lunges at me, but I'm ready. We grapple, the fight brutal and vicious. Every punch, every blow is fueled by the betrayal, the anger, the need to survive. I feel his strength, but I know I can't let him win. Not now, not after everything I've been through. Finally, I manage to pin him down, my hands around his throat. I feel the life draining out of him, but I stop myself just short of crossing that final line. I won't let him turn me into a killer. I pull back, panting, as I watch him struggle for breath. The sound of sirens in the distance signals the end. The police arrive, pulling me off him and slapping the cuffs on Greg. He glares at me with pure hatred, but I don't care. It's over. As they lead him away, I watch in silence. I feel a strange sense of peace, knowing that I've finally taken control of my life. Emily's betrayal cut deep, but I've come out the other side stronger, more resilient. The legal battles are far from over, but I'm ready for them. I know who I am now, and I won't let anyone take that away from me again. As I walk away from the scene, I feel a weight lift from my shoulders. The nightmare is over, and I'm ready to start a new chapter, whatever that may bring. I track Greg down to a remote, dilapidated house on the outskirts of town. The place is a perfect hideout, secluded, forgotten by the world. My heart pounds as I approach, each step heavy with the weight of what I'm about to do. I know this confrontation is inevitable, but that doesn't make it any easier. I've come this far, gathered the evidence, exposed the lies. Now it's time to face the man who tried to destroy me. I push open the door, and it creaks loudly in the silence. The inside of the house is just as run down as the outside. Cracked walls, broken furniture, and the musty smell of decay. I see Greg sitting in a chair in the middle of the room, his face shadowed. He's waiting for me, like he knew I would come. "Adam," he says, his voice calm, almost casual. "I was wondering when you'd show up." I don't respond right away. I take a moment to study him, looking for any signs of weakness, any hint that he's as shaken as I am. But Greg is as cool and collected as ever, his expression unreadable. He's always been good at that, hiding his true intentions behind a mask of calm. "I know everything," I say, my voice steady despite the fear gnawing at my insides. "The affair, the setup, the plan to frame me. It's over, Greg." He chuckles, a low, mocking sound that makes my skin crawl. "You think this is over just because you've figured out a few pieces of the puzzle? You don't understand, Adam. You were never supposed to survive this long. Maybe," I admit, taking a step closer, "but I'm still here, and I'm not going to let you or Emily ruin what's left of my life." Greg leans back in his chair, his eyes cold and calculating. "So what's your plan, Adam? You gonna kill me? Take matters into your own hands? You don't have it in you. You're too weak." His words sting, but I don't let them get to me. Instead, I pull out my phone and play the recording I made of our earlier conversation, the one where he confessed to everything. His eyes narrow as he listens, realizing too late that he's been caught. "You think that's enough?" he asks, his voice dripping with contempt. "That recording won't hold up in court, and even if it does, Emily will just spin it against you. She's smarter than you think, Adam. She's always been 2 steps ahead." "I'm not just relying on this," I say, my voice hardening. "I have your texts, your emails, everything. The police are already on to you. It's only a matter of time before they find you." For the first time, I see a flicker of doubt in his eyes. It's small, but it's there, a crack in his armor. "You're bluffing," he says, but there's a note of uncertainty in his voice now. "Try me," I reply, stepping even closer. "Or better yet, let's wait for the police to show up and see who they believe." Greg's jaw tightens, his mind racing as he tries to find a way out. But there's no escape this time, and he knows it. The tension in the room is thick, the air heavy with the weight of our standoff. Finally, Greg stands, his hands clenched into fists. "You think you've won, Adam? You think you're the hero in this story? But you're not. You're just as dirty as the rest of us." I feel a surge of anger, but I keep it in check. Maybe I'm not a hero, I admit, but I'm not going to let you and Emily walk away from this. You both made your choices, and now you have to face the consequences. Greg stares at me for a long moment, and then, without warning, he lunges. The force of his attack catches me off guard, and we crash to the floor, grappling for control. I feel his hands around my throat, squeezing, but I fight back, using every ounce of strength I have left. The struggle is brutal, our breaths ragged as we fight for dominance. I can feel the rage burning inside me, but I know I have to stay focused. This isn't just about survival, it's about justice. Finally, I manage to get the upper hand, pinning Greg to the ground. He glares up at me, his eyes filled with hatred, but I don't let go. I can't afford to show mercy now. I grab his phone from his pocket, the last piece of evidence I need to seal his fate. "You're done, Greg," I say, my voice low and final. "It's over." He spits at me, his face twisted in rage. "You think you're any better than me? You're just a fool who got played. Emily never loved you. She was always looking for a way out, and you were the perfect patsy." His words cut deep, but I don't let them break me. I know the truth now, and that's all that matters. I stand, keeping my foot pressed against his chest to hold him down, as I call the police. "They're on their way," I say, watching as the realization dawns on him that there's no escape. Minutes later, I hear the distant wail of sirens. The sound grows louder, closer, until the room is filled with the flashing lights of police cars. Officers burst through the door, guns drawn, and I step back, letting them take control. Greg is handcuffed and hauled to his feet, his expression a mix of anger and defeat. He doesn't look at me as they lead him away, but I can feel the weight of his hatred. It doesn't matter. He's out of my life for good. I follow the officers outside, the cool night air hitting me like a slap in the face. I watch as they load Greg into the back of a squad car, the door slamming shut with a finality that feels like closure. But it's not over yet. There's still Emily. I head to the police station, knowing that she's been brought in for questioning. When I arrive, I see her sitting in a holding cell, her face pale, her eyes wide with fear. It's a far cry from the confident, calculating woman who thought she could outsmart me. Our eyes meet, and for a moment, neither of us speaks. There's so much I want to say, so much anger and betrayal that I want to throw in her face. But as I stand there, I realize that words won't change anything. She made her choices, and now she has to live with them. "I never meant for it to go this far," she finally says, her voice trembling. I don't respond right away. I just watch her, trying to find some trace of the woman I once loved. But she's gone, replaced by a stranger who I no longer recognize. "You could have stopped this at any time," I say quietly, "but you didn't. You chose this." Tears well up in her eyes, but I feel nothing. No sympathy, no pity, just a cold, hollow emptiness. "I'm sorry, Adam," she whispers, but the words feel meaningless. Too little, too late. "I know you are," I reply, turning away, "but it doesn't matter anymore." I walk out of the station, leaving her behind. As I step into the night, I feel a strange sense of relief, like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. The nightmare is over, and I've come out the other side. But I know this is just the beginning. The legal battles will drag on, and I'll have to rebuild my life from the ground up. But I'm ready for it. I'm stronger now, more resilient. I've learned the hard way that the world is full of darkness, but I'm no longer afraid to face it. As I drive away, I think about the future, about what comes next. I don't have all the answers, but I know one thing for sure. I'm done being a victim. I'm done letting others control my life. From now on, I'm in charge of my own destiny, and whatever happens next, I'll be ready. I sit in the living room of my new apartment. The box is still unpacked, the walls bare. The silence is almost deafening, but it's a welcome change from the chaos of the past few months. I'm trying to get used to this new life, this new beginning. Everything that happened still feels like a bad dream, one that I can't quite shake off, but it's real, too real, and now I'm left to pick up the pieces. I think about Emily, about the woman I thought I knew. It's hard to reconcile the memories of our life together with the truth I uncovered. The betrayal still stings, but there's something else now, something stronger, a sense of clarity. I see things more clearly now, the cracks that were always there, the signs I chose to ignore. I was blind, but not anymore. The legal battle is far from over. My lawyer calls regularly, updating me on the latest developments. Emily and Greg are both facing serious charges, and the evidence against them is overwhelming. But I know it won't be that simple. They'll fight back, try to twist the narrative, paint themselves as victims. They're good at that, manipulating the truth, bending it to their will. But I'm ready. I won't let them win. I spent a lot of time thinking about what comes next. The life I had before is gone, and I'm not sure what the future holds. But I'm determined to rebuild, to start fresh. This new apartment, with its blank walls and empty rooms, is a symbol of that. A clean slate, a chance to create something new. I'm no longer the man I was before, the man who let himself be deceived. I'm stronger now, more guarded, but also more aware of who I am and what I want. One evening, as I'm unpacking a box of books, my phone buzzes. It's a message from an unknown number. My heart skips a beat as I open it, half expecting another threat, another twist in this never-ending nightmare. But the message is short, cryptic. Not everything is as it seems. Be careful. I stare at the screen, my mind racing. Who sent this? Is it a warning, a threat, or something else entirely? I try to trace the number, but it's unlisted, untraceable. I should be worried, but instead I feel a strange sense of calm. I've been through too much to be rattled by a cryptic message. If there's more to this story, if there's another layer I haven't uncovered yet, I'll deal with it when the time comes. For now, I need to focus on myself, on rebuilding. I've already started to take steps toward that. I'm seeing a therapist, trying to process everything that's happened, trying to make sense of the chaos. It's not easy, but I'm making progress, slowly but surely. I'm learning to trust again, not others, but myself, my instincts, my judgment. I let myself be led astray before, but that won't happen again. I also think about the future, about what I want to do with my life now that everything has changed. The job that once consumed me feels distant, unimportant. I've taken a leave of absence, but I'm not sure I want to go back. I need something new, something that feels meaningful. Maybe I'll start my own business, something small, something I can control. I'm done with being a pawn in someone else's game. As the days turn into weeks, I slowly start to settle into my new routine. It's not easy, and there are moments when the weight of everything that's happened feels too much to bear. But I push through, reminding myself that I survived, that I'm still here. I won't let them take that away from me. The trial date is set, and I know it will be a difficult battle. Emily and Greg have good lawyers, and they'll use every trick in the book to get out of this. But I have the truth on my side, and I won't back down. I'll stand up in court, face them, and tell my story. The thought of seeing Emily again, of hearing her lies, fills me with dread. But I know I have to do it, for myself, for the man I've become. The day of the trial arrives, and I walk into the courtroom with my head held high. The tension in the room is palpable, the air thick with anticipation. Emily sits at the defense table, her face a mask of calm, but I can see the cracks. She's not as composed as she wants everyone to believe. Greg is there too, his expression cold and defiant. I don't look at them. Don't let their presence affect me. I'm here to tell the truth, to expose them for what they really are. The trial is long, exhausting, but I hold my ground. I tell my story, present the evidence, and watch as their carefully constructed lies start to unravel. It's not an easy victory, and there are moments when I doubt myself, when the weight of it all feels too much. But I push through, driven by a need for justice, for closure. When the verdict is finally delivered, it feels like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. They're found guilty, both of them, and sentenced to prison. It's not a perfect ending, but it's enough. I walk out of the courtroom, the sun shining brightly, and take a deep breath. It's over. The nightmare is finally over. But as I drive back to my apartment, the message from that unknown number lingers in my mind. Not everything is as it seems. I can't shake the feeling that there's something I've missed, some loose end that hasn't been tied up. But I push it aside, focusing instead on the future, on the new life I'm building. As I step into my apartment, the emptiness no longer feels daunting. It feels like an opportunity, a chance to create something new, something better. I'm not the same man I was before, but I'm okay with that. I've learned, I've grown, and I'm ready for whatever comes next. I sit down at the kitchen table, a sense of peace washing over me. The past is behind me, and the future is full of possibilities. I've survived the storm, and now it's time to start living again. Whatever challenges lie ahead, I know I'm strong enough to face them, and that's all that matters.